Hello, 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 and welcome to Unique Leaders Live. I'm Megan DiMartino, and it is my most favorite day of the week. It is Friday, and not because of the weekend, but because it's Unique Leaders Live. And I have time to be with my guest, Frederick Penney. And Fred is an amazing Renaissance man. I cannot wait for you to meet Fred and hear his story. But before we do, I just would like to share a little bit about Unique Leaders and a little bit about what we're doing. Basically, Unique Leaders is all about my guest. It's about their story. And they say success leaves clues. Well, I don't want clues. I want the whole enchilada. I want you to hear the compelling story of my guest, because you're going to see yourself in these stories. And you can go to YouTube and see other past Unique Leaders Lives where we've had amazing, amazing guests. And their stories will, resonate with you as well. And then on Tuesday, this segment with Frederick Penney will be on all the podcasting platforms. So today it's live on all of my social media platforms as well as YouTube. So please do share this out, because honestly, guys, it will help others to really not only hear Fred's story, but they will resonate themselves, meaning people that you send it out to. And so it is, as I said, it's live right now. It's live on YouTube, and it will be then replayed tomorrow. And it will also then be a podcast by Tuesday. So without further ado, I just want to get into my guest story and welcome Frederick Penney. Thank you so much.
Hey, Megan, how are you? Thank you for having me. I was looking at some of the guests on your pre-show. I'm like, wow, I'm stepping it up. There's some great people you interviewed here.
Yes.
What a wonderful opportunity. Thank you for having me. I really appreciate it.
My pleasure, truly. As I shared in the intro, Fred, and do you go by Fred? Because I see it both ways. I see it
yes,
presented differently.
Okay. Fred to friends, to other lawyers I don't like, Frederick. So Fred, you call me Fred.
Because Frederick's somewhat imposing and maybe intimidating. So good. That persona. So you and I will be Fred and Megan. Okay, very good. So as I shared in the intro, this is really about you. I love doing this because I was brought up by a father who loved asking questions. So people say, well, how do you know to do this? Well, I guess I'm Ray's daughter. And, when I was a teenager, the boys would come and take me out and he would sit down and interrogate them. Well, they seemed to enjoy it, where I was totally embarrassed. But I learned that art of conversation and that, inquisitive nature. And so with that said, I would love to know about you, Fred. So share with our guests and myself where you were born, a little bit about young Fred, and kind of your story that brought you to today.
Sure. Again, thank you. This is an interesting thing. It's I'm hitting my late 50s now. I realize that I'm actually getting up there. Before I start out, I want to tell you a quick story. I started out my practice 30 years ago. I'm a personal injury lawyer in California. Mm-hmm. And I showed up to a deposition in the San Francisco area. And I mainly manage now because the firm is so big, and we'll discuss that later on. And I remember showing up, sitting down to the table where there was lawyers on one side, and I'm stepping in for an attorney. We had multiple attorneys that couldn't make it, so I had to last minute step in. And the court reporter looked at me and the attorneys looked at me and basically said, wow, Fred Penney's here. Wow. I mean, it was like a wow. And I'm like, and I'm dead serious, Megan. I said to myself, I still see myself as the young Fred Penney
Right.
that started out of practice 30 years ago, that was the young gun that had no experience, that was a nobody, right? And I
Yeah.
showed up and I was like, wow, after I left, I said, wow, I guess I'm getting up there in age, and I am a more experienced lawyer now with 30 years under my belt. But
Mhm.
that's kind of where it's taken me today. It's kind of interesting how my life has gone, and hopefully I have a longer and more prosperous life. But I'll tell you really quickly. I grew up in a small town in Northern California. My dad was a police officer. My dad is a Marine. Fought in not Vietnam. He fought in Korea. He's a decorated Marine, a wonderful man. Married my wonderful mother. They were just everything was just a normal type of life, except that my dad believed one important thing, and that was to get the boys out of the city and into the country and work us hard.
Mhm.
And he did that. He drug us up to a little town with 605 population and put us to work on a small little gentleman's farm while he worked as a police officer. And we didn't have much money because my dad, as a police officer salary, my mom was a stay-at-home mom. We didn't have much,
Mhm.
but we didn't know it, right? I didn't know that we didn't have much.
Mhm.
But he taught us to work hard. Everything that he taught me growing up as a young kid was to work hard.
Mhm.
I remember as a child, when I was young, my mom was a good church girl, and my dad was a tough, drove a Harley, smoked, drank, tough dude, tattooed, a
Mhm.
wonderful man, and but very tough. And he didn't go to church. He was not a church guy. My
Mhm.
mom was, and this is what instilled in me one of the most important things I'll remember without him telling us, and that I have used my whole life. The rule was if we went to church with mom, we didn't have to work on the farm, right? So one day I said, you know what? I'm about 7 or 8 years old. I'm not going to go to church. I just want to relax. I don't think I have to go to church. And my oldest brother, I'll never remember him looking at me going, go, no, 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 no. And I was stupid enough, said, no, Dad, I'm staying home. I don't want to go to church. And he said, that's your prerogative, son. And sure enough, they marched off to church. And I never forget him putting his cowboy hat on. Let's go. And he worked me till like 9:30 that night out on the farm, it's a little small one, like 10
Mhm.
acres, right?
Mhm.
I worked for about 12 hours straight
Wow.
while my brothers didn't do anything and just went to church and relaxed that day. So that's kind of how it all started, Megan. That's the beginning of where I began, and
But
kind
let
of
me
the
ask you.
upbringing.
But let me ask you though. So you went to work on the farm with your dad, and the boys went to church with mom. Did you enjoy working with dad, or what was your thought? I mean, because you initially said you thought you were going to have a day off, but then dad took you to the farm. So what was your mindset when you did go to the farm and work?
No, it was not. It was brutal hard work that he put me through. I mean, yes, I like to work, don't get me wrong, but as a young kid, Sunday was our day off, right? We went to church and we didn't have to really do anything. And we lived on this small little farm, so we didn't have to go anywhere. It was right there, right? And
Mhm.
so no, he didn't work me normal. He worked me hard that day, and we didn't stop. So no, I did not enjoy it. And I learned I go to church every Sunday with mom
Okay.
after
Okay.
that,
Well,
and I
that was
didn't
going to be
miss.
my next question. So you went back to church. Okay.
Yes, I did. I followed mom and went to church. So,
Mhm.
but that's kind of how I grew up, and we didn't have a lot of money. We didn't know we didn't have a lot of money. And
Mhm.
that was very unique. And I know your unique leaders is what you want to talk about, is that was unique in my life. I know a lot of people say that, but I really had a unique, good life. It wasn't easy, but it was unique. I learned to work hard. I learned that money isn't everything, and I learned about happiness. I always tell people when I'm interviewed and when I talk at high schools and I talk at events,
Mhm.
I am no happier now, Megan, than I was when I was a poor kid.
Mhm.
No different than happiness. Yeah, you're happier because you have a kid or grandkid or friends,
Mhm.
but I'm no happier now with my success than I was when I had nothing at all financially. And we lived, very, very, I'm going to say humbly is the word. Because my dad, we made enough money by about the 26th of the month. It's once a month he got paid. We were out of money, right? And so we would live off the freezer or live off tuna and stuff like that. But I was just as happy. Megan.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Don't you think
Yeah.
that's important in life?
Absolutely. And, if you were to go back and you mentioned about my guest, my previous guests, and if you were to go back, Fred, and listen to their beginning stories, I would say almost 100% of everyone. And I don't think it's really the age of the person. I think it's how we all grew up, so to speak, and everyone's different ages. But most people came from humble beginnings. They did not
Right,
have a silver spoon in their mouth. They did not. Most of the
right.
people that you saw there, including Sharon Lecter, her mom was a stylist. I think she called her a beautician, but they and her father had a used car dealer, not dealer, and they lived near the car dealer lot. I mean, that is how she was brought up. So the thing is that, and she speaks about what you just said, and I think that's the credence of Napoleon Hill, right? The number one tenet is a positive mental attitude, and it's really not about having a Gucci or a Rolex. It's about your mindset.
Yeah.
So yeah, and
Yeah.
that
So,
yeah.
yeah,
So
go ahead.
that's what, no, I was going to say, as I shared with you, that's what intrigued me about you is your heart. So continue on
Yeah.
through.
Yeah. I funny. So my neighbor friend, grew up, he had a mother, that his dad passed away of cancer early on, and they had 5 kids, little kids. So she had to raise those little kids on this farm, that little ranch next to us. And he became my best friend. And by the way, is a CPA tax accountant and the controller of my companies. He
Oh,
is been working with me forever. And I remember us coming out of a big event, or a big, I can't even remember what it was. And it was very, I'm going to say, a little bit contentious, right? And he's with me, and we're walking out, and he just was upset. And he's an accountant type, and he's very cool, level headed. And he was upset. And he turned to me and said, "Trailer trash." And he kept walking. And I stopped him, and I said, "What? What did you say?" He goes, "Nothing." I said, "You said trailer trash." He goes, "Yeah." I said, "Dude, you grew up in a single wide trailer. You're not even a double wide. We grew up that way. That's us." And he started laughing. He goes, "You're right. That's us. That's who we are." And it's so funny, but we always laugh about that to some degree. It's like, that's how we grew up, and we loved it. We were happy with it, right?
mm-hmm.
So what do I do? Okay, so I grow up. Everything is great. At age 14, in fact, there's a book coming out. I met with my publishers again today. The book should be out in March. I've got a series of books coming out.
Great.
And it's basically the theme. I'm not going to tell you the name of it because we've already got the name. The covers are done, and we're going to do a big announcement. But the theme I'm going to tell you is basically from picking peaches to flying private jets. Because as you know, I have my own private jet that I fly
Yes.
around in, and I'll
Mm-hmm.
get to that. So that's the way I was. I was a picking peaches kid at age 14. I started working at the ranches, and I picked peaches, right? And that's how I worked my way up the ladder, knowing, okay, I'm going to pick peaches first in the field. Then I want to go up, and I want to be the person in the little fruit stand and be the seller. And that was my excitement. And
Mm-hmm.
I had a ladder that I was walking up, Megan, right? And I
Mm-hmm.
was just excited about being from a peach picker to selling at the fruit stand. And I did it. I moved up the ladder to where I'm around 16, 17. I sold at the fruit stand. And to me, that's the same thing that I see, but on a larger scale now.
Mm-hmm.
I'm still the kid picking the fruit
Mm-hmm.
and wanting to be the person selling at the fruit stand.
Yeah.
And that's what I am, and that's what I do, and that's how I do it. So to go on, so I decided that I'm going to go to law school. And that's another story that we don't have time to get into. My dad kind of forced me. I worked at a wrecking yard later on in life. I wanted to build race car. I love cars, right?
Mm-hmm.
And my dad's like, "Are you sure you don't want to go to college?" I said, "Yeah, I do." After working in a wrecking yard. And I followed my brother, who became a prosecutor for the district attorney's office and now is a judge. And I followed him and to law school. And as I came out of law school, I was married, had a wonderful wife, and I had children. And I'm going to jump ahead to about my 4th year in the practice of law. I started out at the very beginning practicing law right out of passing the bar. People thought I was crazy. You can't do that. You're not smart enough. You don't have the expertise, which they were all correct, right? Yeah, correct. So what did I do? But I'm the kind of guy, it's like, I'm going to do it. So I went to the largest law firm, and I knew the managing partner of this big firm. And I said, send me your crappy cases, the cases that nobody wants, that you know you're going to lose, and I will take them to trial for you and give me a percentage. And I did that. And I started trying cases. Like within a year of practicing law, I'm in trial trying these cases.
Wow.
And I was losing. I lost, Megan. Everyone's like, oh, yeah, I win everything. I love lawyers. I always win. Well, then you haven't tried a tough case, right? But guess what? I started winning, Megan. And I started hitting big, and I started doing well. And as things grew and progressed, the firm grew. And within 4 years, I'm going to say, I started really vaulting. Penney and Associates, injury lawyers, vaulted. I never thought I'd be a personal injury lawyer.
Well, how did you get into that? Because I've had a medical spa, and insurance is a very important thing.
Yeah.
And I'm very proud to say we never had any lawsuits.
Knock on wood. Knock on wood.
Well, I've sold the business, so
Yeah.
I skated through that. But
Yeah.
anyhow, how did you evolve to that?
No, I didn't want to be a personal injury lawyer. I wanted to be a corporate and real estate lawyer. And that's when I went into this big mega firm down in the Bay Area. I went down to the San Francisco Bay Area. And it was at the time, it was in the late 80s, early 90s. And they had, that's when everything crashed with the real estate and construction. And so they said, we have an opening in our personal injury defense department. And they stuck me in that, defending the insurance industry. And from there, I said, I guess that's what I learned. And I just stuck to it. And I said, I like the other side where we represent people instead of insurance companies. And that's how it all started. I fell into it. I fell into it. So as I took off, there's 3 important words that I always use. My 4th year, approximately 3rd to 5th year, 4th year. What do I do? I'm making all this money now, Megan. What do I do? My friends were buying Lamborghinis, Ferraris, building big houses, and I was there following them. I could do that. I lived in a 1,900 square foot home, 4 children, a wonderful wife. She was a stay-at-home mom, and we were doing well. And I said, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to hunker down, and I'm going to take all the money that I make, and I'm going to invest it. I'm going to buy companies. I'm going to build companies. I'm going to invest in companies. I'm going to buy real estate, and I'm going to diversify. And I'm going to put money into my law practice. And sure enough, not for 1 year, 2 year, 3 year, for 10 years, I stayed in that little house, just humble house in a tract house, making the kind of money I made. And so the 3 most important words I've learned in my life: resist, resist, resist. It was so difficult. It was difficult for people, Megan, to become successful because they don't remember resist, resist, resist. Because once they get the money, they want to spend it. And you got to be very careful. If you're smart with your money, you're going to be able to invest it in the right things. And then you have the money, right? When an opportunity comes, you've got the cash and you're able to do that. So I've had some opportunities fall in my lap outside the practice of law that I've invested in that have done very well. So resist, resist, resist.
Well, when I heard you on Breakfast with Champions, interviewed by Amelia Antonetti, that's the piece of the story that really it drew me in. Because it was, to me, and I'm going to speak to our guests right now, because the resist, resist, resist is the bottom line, is that you, just like the peach to the entrepreneurial journey, but also your dad and mom, meaning all your needs were met, and you recognized that. And so you were wise. It's the greatest, richest man in Babylon story.
Right, right.
And so basically you understood that, and you read obviously things like that and knew that. And so therefore you had that foundation and base with your lovely wife and 4 beautiful children and a home that you were comfortable in, and you built from there. And that, guys, and I'm speaking to our audience, listen to this gentleman right now, because there's so many shiny objects out there, and the world is upside down right now. And what this gentleman is sharing right now, it's very timely for this, like Queen Esther, such a time as this. So continue on, sir.
Yeah, Megan. So on that point, wonderful. I'm glad you brought that up. The issue is everyone thinks you can get rich quick. Now, ready for this? You can.
Mm-hmm.
But the odds are very, very slim. You see the ones that get rich quick, but the majority of them don't. And all you see is okay, Fred Penny's doing well now. He's got his private jet, he flies, but they didn't see the 30 years of grind, right?
Yes.
It was built over 30 years. It's okay to take time to build something.
That's right.
And that's what it's tough for me as an entrepreneur and an attorney and a successful lawyer. I see people just going, man, I'm going to make it. I'm going to be, and you don't want to dispel them or knock them down, but I want them to understand the reality of it's okay if it's going to take you 10 years to build your business. It's okay, that you're not going to make money in crypto, right? It's okay that you're not making money in NFTs. I don't. You're right. Oh, you could have made tons. I probably could have. But guess what? I'm doing it differently, right? So you've got to understand if you're in a business that it's okay if it takes a long time or it takes a while. In fact, those are the most successful businesses usually they're going to take a while, right? So there's a couple of other things I've learned about business. As I've built these businesses, I've done well. I built the law practice. It's Penney and Associates. We're based out of California. We have 6 offices in California. We're down in the Bay Area. We're in LA. We're in Sacramento. But I built the Penny Galbraith Elder Brannon firm, which is a national firm that we do oversee some large plans and legal plans, right? And so we're in 46 states now. And I kind of saw that coming in the late 90s, or late 90s. I saw what the future in the legal industry was. And no matter what industry you're in, Megan, look at the future. Look 10 years down the line. The real good entrepreneurs are looking at what's happening in 10 years. And if you can just figure that out, which I think I've got kind of a sense in some things I see coming. By the way, I was one of the first people sign up on Twitter. Right? But guess what I did? I was too busy to do anything about it. I signed up, I got all the nice things, and I sat on it, right? Same with Instagram. I'm big on Instagram because I was on early, right? I was on early on TikTok. So you've got to find that niche and get in early and push for it, right? So that's what I've learned too as an entrepreneur is it's going to take time, but look ahead. Look as far ahead as you can, and then find that little niche that you're in and jump on it, right? Stick to it. Don't give up. I mean, just keep going. You're going to fall. Keep getting up, keep getting up, keep getting up, right?
Yes,
so let me tell you a quick story. So a quick story. I have a lot of stories. I was at a high school. They had me speak, and you tell me this when to stop. They asked me to speak to these young kids in this high school that were coming from kind of poor area. And the one boy raised his hand, and I don't remember exactly what he said. People say exact, but it was something to the effect of, Mr. Penney, why is it my dad's not successful and you are? How do you answer that question? All these students sitting there. And I thought about it, and my lawyer, I was come up with, I said to myself, you know what? I don't know your dad, but I think maybe I got off the ground more times than your dad did. And I paused, and it was just they understood it. It's about getting off the ground, right? It's just getting up and doing it and starting all over again. And I just was talking, I was interviewing this morning, and I was talking to someone, and I told them this, and they were like, "That's exactly, you're exactly right." I said, the issue is a lot of people, I just lost my train. So when we jump in and we are doing the best that we can and working hard, people always are going to be negative about you. They're going to put you down. They're going to hit you. They're going to knock you down. They're going to say negative about you. And it happens to me all the time.
I'm sure.
You know what I've learned, Megan? And if you learn this, you can be successful. Not you, I mean the audience.
Sure. No, get it.
Learn that if you are being pounded on, there's a reason. That means you're doing something right. Just think if you're not doing what's right, or you're not successful, you're not making it, they're not going to bother you. They're not going to say negative about you. They're not going to try to knock you off your horse. I've learned that, man, that's a positive thing when people are trying to knock me down.
Exactly.
That's what I've learned in life, Megan. Don't you agree with that?
100%. I mean, the thing about myself, I'm a bit older than you, and I've been in business as an entrepreneur for over 30 years. And I just shared this piece that I started a skincare brand in 1992 that was medical grade-ish, meaning it was glycolic acid alpha hydroxy. I was the first person to launch that type of product in the salon industry. And I say salon because spa didn't even exist, meaning what we know today. right? It just didn't even exist. But I'm smack dab in the middle of the baby boomer generation. My early career was in the fashion industry. I entered the wholesale beauty industry in the early 80s in national sales and marketing, first for a paper company out of New York, and then I was recruited by Alcon Laboratories, which brought me to Fort Worth, Texas. So this New York girl moved to Texas in '87. I took that job specifically, Fred, because back in the day, there was no Google to say, hello, Dr. Google, or websites or whatever. So I wanted to hang out with sophisticated chemists that knew what they were doing, because by that point, I had decided I was going to do a skincare brand, because I had worked for a paper company, as I said, and we developed a product, several products for the acrylic nail industry.
Oh
Okay.
yeah,
So
right,
I saw the evolution, Fred. Yeah, right. But I saw the evolution of that coming into the salon industry. And
right,
so I said, I knew what I was interested in. I wanted something that was going to do something versus just a bunch of gook, okay, which were European oriented products. So that's why I took that job with Alcon. And I'll tell you an interesting point of this. I never really said I was going to start my own business. I just wanted to create.
right,
And so we were working, believe it or not, in hyaluronic acid, which is probably the most known ingredient right now because it's very hydrating. Okay, comes from and so Alcon though, if you wear contacts, you know Alcon because of contact eye solution.
lands, yeah, yeah, I
Right.
see.
Okay. So anyhow, they knew of hyaluronic acid, which it was from the comb of a cock. Okay. So obviously not scientifically re-engineered, but it kept the eye moist in eye surgery. Okay. So Alcon had bought, why they recruited me is because they had bought this lab that manufactured serious hair products like Rogaine and Nioxin
Right,
and the
which
like.
I've never used.
Right, right. But anyhow, yeah. But they wanted to repackage it and reposition it. So they had been working in this hyaluronic acid stuff. So my boss said, let's do something with hyaluronic acid. Okay. So we put this hairline together called Hyaluron. So I did a whole storyboard on skincare. And this guy said to me, Fred, honest to God, he said this to me. He said, Megan, skincare doesn't sell. Hello. And so, I mean, he did apologize to me about 5 years later, but I left. Not that moment because I had a child in college, but I said, this is not going to work. So basically, like you said, I saw what was out there. I saw what was going to come, and I've just kind of not just rose to the occasion, but rode that wave, so to speak. And I could bore you with more stories, but the point is, I agree with you 100%,
Right.
a
Yeah,
hundred percent.
yeah, it reminds me of when I was a new lawyer, a well-established business person took me to the airport and said to me, "Look, I want to give you some advice, Fred." I said, "Give me." That's okay, and you should listen to other people for advice,
Oh, yeah.
but in general, but I've always been one of those guys outside the box because I'm going to do my way,
Mhm.
But he said, "You know what? Your personality is a little too aggressive." And you're too aggressive when it comes to your personality and what you do. I think you need to be successful. You need to tone it down. And I just never forget turning to him and saying, "That ain't gonna happen. That ain't gonna happen." And so I still remember that, and to this day, I'm still that way. When I
Mhm.
built my law practice, and I continue to build it, and as it grows, I have had to be many places at one point. We have
Mhm.
clients all over. We need to be at the clients. We need to meet with the clients. High profile cases. My partners need to. I have
Mhm.
what I've learned is I got the best partners, the best trial lawyers, and I've learned to do what I'm good at, and in which I was good at being at trials, but I'm so busy, I can't
Mhm.
focus as well as my partners. So we've got to be everywhere. And I knew we needed a plane. And so the problem is this, and I would say problem, the challenge is, because there's no problem. The
Mhm.
challenge is people look at you differently, right?
Mhm.
There was an issue. My wife said, look, we don't want to be a jet setter and be those ritzy, hoity-toity types because we're just down-to-earth people. I grew up, I'm a country boy. I still
Mhm.
am a country boy. You go
Mhm.
to the country where you grew up, this small town, it's got the Frederick Ernest Memorial Fire Station named after my father. That's how
Mhm.
country I am. right?
Mhm.
And so I finally got my jet, and I said, not only am I going to get the jet, and by the way, I'm on my second jet, I'm going to put my name on it. And they're like, oh my gosh, that's the worst thing you can do. I said, I don't really care what people think, right? And I market myself like crazy. That's another thing important thing you got to remember is you must market yourself now. It is so difficult out there to build businesses without marketing yourself on social media. It used to be Yellow Pages, right? You and I remember, Megan, it was Yellow Pages.
Oh, yes.
And I was big into that, right?
The
But
Thomas
now,
Register, Yellow
yeah,
Pages, all of those things. Yeah.
all of that stuff.
Mhm.
But you got to stay up with the times, which is now doing it with, Instagram, social media, and I market everything. And I do not apologize for rolling in my jet with
Mm-mm.
my name on the tail as big as it can be, because you know what? That's who I am. And I'm proud of who I am. I'm proud of my
Amen.
accomplishments. And some people think it's arrogant, but you know what? I'm confident. There's a fine line between confidence and arrogance. And you
Well,
know what?
that's
Doggone it, be confident. And that's probably the thing that if we need to leave it here, it's 30 minutes. We got to leave, but that's the most important thing you have to do is be confident.
But first, there are two things that I thought of when you were speaking. Well, many things, but one is about your father. The town honored your dad,
Right.
and his name is in memorial here in this. I don't care if it's small or large, it's in memorial. But it's also being proud of who you are and your, heritage, your family, your father, your mother, and so forth. So the name. And then the second thing I thought of was Donald Trump, because, I mean, he's regardless of what you think about the guy, I mean, he's an amazing brander and marketer.
Yep.
And amazing. And so we should all go to school. And that's why his book is still very, very important to read.
Right. Right.
So, and again, that is why I wanted you on, over these months, I've invited you because I really felt that for such a time as this, Fred, honestly,
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
it's very important for people to, and I hear these stories. And that's why I know this because people tell me this all the time. My age is actually a positive, not a negative, because people, we're still relevant. As I said, I'm older than you, but we're still relevant and we're continuing to, hit that ball and swing that bat and continue on. And you're going to do it forever, forever and ever.
I'm always have been and will be happy. I'm never content though,
Mm-hmm.
Megan.
Mm-hmm.
Always be happy. I've been happy since I was a little kid, and I don't care what has happened to me because I've had issues in my life too. We all do,
Sure.
but I'm never content with where I
Mm-hmm.
am. Isn't that a great thing?
A
That's who I
fabulous
am.
thing, and
That's
that's
who
why
I
I
am.
keep going. Yes, but like you said, it's up to 30 minutes. But I ask my guests the same question. So I'm going to ask the question because it's essentially in the vein of what I would ask you for what you said about always content. Because I would like you to explain that a bit, because I think that is very important for our guests to hear that too. But the two questions are this. Sharon Lecter, who I mentioned earlier, I would say is a friend. And I've gotten to know her over the years. And I truly respect her because, again, she is brilliant, but she's still swinging the bat. She's still out there. Okay. And so in her book with Greg Reed, she speaks about this also, but it was published in this book, 3 Feet from Gold. I don't know if you've read that,
No,
but
I'm going to write it down.
Three
Go
Feet
ahead.
from Gold. And basically, it's a fiction, but it's an autobiographical. It's not an autobiographical picture of Greg Reed, but there's an opening piece that a guy from the gold rush days from the East Coast gets gold fever, and he comes out west and buys a little piece of property and starts chiseling away for his piece of gold. And he goes into town, buys his supplies, gets frustrated, and sells his property to a townie. And that guy has listened to this man over these months and goes and in 3 feet strikes gold. Okay, so in 3 feet. So the moral of the story is, like you said, don't stop, keep going. So in the book, she has and then it segues into more of a kind of a Greg Reed story. But with that said, she shares what she calls her success formula. And it's your passion plus talent times association times action plus faith equals success. Now, I'm not going to ask you everything, but I ask everyone, what is your passion, Fred, and what is your talent?
So without getting into detail, because there's two roads I see. I see my personal life and then I see my business life. Yes, they do intersect at times. There's no doubt that the number one most important passion is my God, my family, and my beliefs. And that's the most important thing. But let's focus over on to the business section. My passion is, ready for this? It's just one word. Well, two words, the game. Everybody has asked me, why haven't you retired? I could have retired at age 30. I retired at age 40, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's the game. My passion is the game, Megan.
Mm-hmm.
This entrepreneurship, building businesses, building the law practice, taking a case to trial with and doing what's best for the people, being the people's lawyer. I love that. It is a game. My passion is the game. And it's not, I know people believe it, it's not about the money. It's
Mm-hmm.
about the game.
Yeah.
And that's the purpose in life, is to play the game.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm competitive by nature. I hate to lose. And I love playing the game of business. And I love playing the game of law. And that's my passion outside of my personal passion.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the answer. I mean, that's the thing you can just go, boom, done. That was perfect. That was it.
Amen.
That's my passion.
And what would you say your talent is in the middle of all of that? What would you say your talent is, Fred Penney?
You know what my talent is? I think my talent is this. I think I've got a number of them, but probably one of the most important talents you need to have as a good business person is finding and seeing talent. Because there's only so much I can do as a business owner. People say, we have a fast food restaurant chain, by the way, very successful fast food restaurant chain. How do I manage that fast food restaurant chain? I don't. It's one person. Reed Reinhold runs that company. I deal with one person. I invested in that company 16 years ago because of one person, not the business. I invest in people first, businesses second. Okay. And let me tell you, I think I'm pretty good. I've got a good talent in finding good people. And people ask me, Fred, how do you do that? They always ask. This is a really good tip for those that are listening. I'm serious. This will help you in your business. People always want to start a business or do their business and they go look for talent, right? Wrong way to do it, Megan. Whoa, what do? I already have people in advance ready that I'm going to get. And I can tell you, I know the two people right now I'm ready to take away from their business. When I find the next company that I want to invest in, I don't care if they even do that type of company. Right. I know they will build that company because of who they are. So I find talented people in advance, years in advance, and they're waiting in the wings. Yeah. And I'm going to snatch them up when I need it, not look after I get the business. Right. So I think I have talent for finding talent.
Yeah. Excellent tip. Really excellent tip too. And that's honestly, that is how I built my businesses, is exactly what you just said. So yes, always looking, always paying attention. It's that asking the right questions. It's being inquisitive. Yes.
Well, because there's only so much time you have in the day, right, Megan?
Oh my God. I mean, then I get up pretty dang early.
Right. You need good people.
Yes. Well, sir, thank you so much for joining us today. I really appreciate it. Really, really appreciate it. And so this, as I said in the intro, will be in all the platforms that you spoke about. And by the way, I have to share this with you because I'm very excited about this, that one of my reels just went to 4,000 views.
Okay, I'll push it out on mine. I've got, I think, close to 1 million followers now. So
I would love it.
I'm at Frederick Penney, at Frederick, FREDERICKPENNEY1 on Instagram. Megan, I'll share this when we put this up. Boom, it's going out all over my Instagram.
Perfect.
We're gonna push it. Not because of me. Let's push you.
I would appreciate it. Thank you so much. Be blessed.
Appreciate you. Thanks. Bye-bye.
Wow, what a wonderful segment with the one and only Frederick, aka Fred Penney. I just am so blessed to have him with us today so that you could hear this Renaissance man, as I said earlier, that is sharing from the picking peaches to the private jet. But as he shared, it's not about having a private jet to impress. It's getting him from point A to point B, and he's a get-going guy that is never going to stop. And so that is truly a takeaway that I want you all to hear, that this is a person that it's the motion, it's the game, it's the process that just it ignites this person to continue to go. So as many of you know that I wrote a book, and Tuesday was its anniversary, the 4th of January, going to #1 on Amazon in 4 categories: hope and possibilities just over the horizon. It's never too early or too late to create the life of your dreams. Never. That's what Fred and I were talking about all throughout this visit. So just know that you have to start, but don't stop. And it is my gift to you. We did an audiobook of it this year, and so it's on all of the platforms, meaning you can go to my, you can go to my websites and you can download the book. It's on the screen here and the audiobook, but it is, and you can go on Amazon and pay for them. But this month they are both free. My gift to you. But just go to the websites and it'll be in all of the show notes and information. But go there and download not only the ebook, but also the audiobook. So it's hope and possibilities just over the horizon. It's never too early or too late to create the life of your dreams. And then with that, because that is my story ostensibly, but basically from there, because it starts from when I was a young child in New York through when my husband passed in 2011. But since then, continuing on building my medical spa business and then selling the brick and mortar portion of it, but not the trade name, the product line, Novitas Spa, clinical products, the website, the URL. So with that, I knew last year when that happened in 2021 that I needed to share with you just basic tools to start, to scale, and to sustain, just like Fred was sharing. And this course, the Propel Activation Program, is on, it'll be on propel.business, and which is on the Megan DiMartino website. But also there is a Facebook group, Propel Business and Life, and a Facebook group. So go there because I did a masterclass last week, and that is there for you. So I have 2 gifts. One, and this is the month of January, which is the celebration month. Not only is it the first of the month, but the celebration of the book going to #1 in 4 business categories, but also this course is now going to be available. It's in pre-sale, and it will help you really, and it starts with clarity, because clarity is so important to understand what you want to do and how then you will take that first step. Without clarity, you will not start. You will not start. So the masterclass is there, but also part of the workbook from the clarity section of Start is there. So it'll help you with this beginning of January to really put that plan together for 2022. So go there as well. So that's a long-winded today. I normally don't go there, but I wanted to share this with you, that this is for you, and this podcast and live is also for you, so that you can see these amazing people like Fred Penney and his amazing journey of business. I cannot wait to read his books. So with that said, guys, thank you for joining me today on Unique Leaders Live. And next week, we'll have another unique leader sharing their story that will be extremely compelling to give you tools for your life. Thank you again for joining me, and we'll see you next Friday on Unique Leaders. Be blessed.